Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am so excited to be here with you today. Today, we're going to be talking about the 3 steps you can take to make the most of 2026. Now, I will tell you, I have a full many-page PowerPoint presentation to keep me on track. But for the most part, I'm going to try and stay off the slides because I like being here with you much better in this way. If you want to know if you're in the right place, let me tell you what you can expect from our time together. During our time together, I will be sharing with you a little bit about what I've been shown for 2026. You will also get an overview of the energetic landscape of the next 3 to 5 months. And when I say 3 to 5 months, I'm hoping for all of you it's 3 months. But the reason I say 5 months is there's something significant happening in March. I'll talk a little bit about it. And I want all of you prepared to take advantage of it, which means I want to make sure you're doing what you need to be doing now so that you are ready for it. Because I've been shown a lot of people aren't. They're going to hold on. They're going to grasp. We're going to talk more about what not to do, what to do. And when they do that, and that's not going to be you because you're here and you're getting this now. When they do that, what's going to happen is they're going to arrive at March's doorstep and they're not going to be able to take advantage of the really juicy energy that's going to be available. If you have felt like your world is upside down, if you have had significant energy swings, if you have been emotional, if you have not been able to sleep, if you've been sleeping all the time, if you feel like the ground underneath you is not stable, and yet you're not sure what stable looks like anymore, if any of these things sound like you're in the right place. And the good news is, and besides that, you can also be feeling like you can feel everything slipping away. You're not even grasping anymore. You've surrendered, and yet this liminal space you're in has been going on for so long, you just want it to be over. And if any of that describes you, just know we are going to be speaking to all of it, and you are 100% in the right place. If you have been crying nonstop, or you feel like tears are coming and you can't get to them, if you feel like your hormones have taken a journey of their own, even if you tested them, you'll find that they're perfectly stable. All of these things, these emotional roller coasters, all of it is normal for our time. And the thing that's wonderful about all this discomfort is it's proof that you're actually in it, that you're in this shift that we're going through. And that is a good thing. So what we're going to do today is talk about the 3 phases that will happen over the next 3 to 5 months, depending on if people play along, because you could get stuck in phase 1 if you don't play along, and I'm going to tell you how to play along. And then within that first phase that we're in right now, I'm going to give you the 3 steps to really be focused on in this moment in time. So I told you I would share a little bit about what I've been shown for 2026. Now, when I get my predictions for the month, when I download my predictions for the month, if you watch them on YouTube, I can generally get them in a single sitting. What I mean is I sit down, I talk to my team, I get the downloads, I can put them together, I can make sense of them. I usually get the downloads, I step away from the downloads, maybe a day or two, and then I come back and I make them semi-cohesive for the videos that go out. But to do it for an entire year is a different animal. The information comes in waves. And so I'm going to give you 2 really important pieces that have come in that really locked in that I think will give you a lot of hope, and I hope a lot of excitement. So the first is that in March, there is going to be this very delicious energy that I call it delicious. It's this delicious energy that is just going to put things to life, put things like bursts of like energy is even the wrong word. It's just going to be so much wonderful momentum. And that momentum will work one of two ways. It will either take what you've discovered about what's meant to happen going forward and really put some energy behind it, really get it moving quite quickly. Or if you have resisted what you were being guided to do over this month and next month into January, then what it's probably going to feel like is you slamming, not even slamming into a brick wall, like you just getting hit over the head over and over again. That isn't going to be you, I know, because you're here and you're going to listen to what I have to share. And I trust that you are going to take action on this, because this isn't going to be like, the things I'm going to share are not going to be like you have to climb Mount Everest, right? It's not, they're all within your scope of ability. So that was number one. Number two is June. And I don't like to make predictions about political or government landscapes usually, but I think this June energy is going to happen in so many places that I will include government and power structures. There is a spicy, like coyote trickster energy about June. And it is going to feel so fun and playful. Again, if you've sort of received that momentum in March, and then it's going to carry you in around June, you are going to feel frisky. You are going to feel younger than you've ever felt like in years. You are going to like throw off like rules and like societal sort of containers that you probably didn't even know you were holding. That's how that energy will help us. Now, how it's going to feel difficult. And again, I don't think this is going to happen to anyone here, because if you were attracted to this place, if this messaging and me in general, I know you're part of the light. You're part of bringing the light, right? But there are people who are here as younger souls who are learning some young soul lessons, and beings who are on the planet right now who are moving through the time without integrity. That coyote energy is going to be something to watch. And I think we're all going to get our popcorn. And I think if there's someone that just popped into your head and is like, oh, this affects them, just know you're probably right. If someone popped into your head and you're like, I'm not planning any vacation for June because I'm just going to sit at home and watch this all play out. If that is what popped into your head, I think we're going to see it on a local stage. And I think we're going to see it on a global stage. And I don't mean just politically. I mean, if there's like relationships in your life where you maybe have a family member that just and is living out of integrity. Not for you to judge them, but like you're watching them lie. You're watching them manipulate. Any of these things, that June energy is really going to be something. That is what I can give you so far. I just wanted to give you a few predictions. I think they grease the wheels. They give you a little motivation to stick with me through what I have to share today, so that you understand how much it's going to benefit you by you honoring these phases and doing the work that needs to happen in each of them. I know a lot of people have since come in since I first started, so I just want to say welcome. And I think everyone here must know me. I did not run any ads and I didn't send this out to new people, but I know we have a few new friends that have found me through YouTube. So, hey, I'm Patty Lennon. I am an intuitive mentor. I'm also the author of Make Space for Magic, which at its heart means do the work so that the divine, so source, so spirit can come and help you. So your spirit team can.
Patty, the screen has gone black for me, and I don't hear you.
I second that emotion. Mm.
And we're also in Mercury retrograde. So hopefully, here's what I'll also say is hopefully I can stay with you through this little journey, and spirit doesn't have other plans for us. But if for some reason we do lose connectivity, what I will do is I will record the whole training. I will have that out this afternoon because now you're on the edge of your seats, right? Those of you who are here live, you're like, oh my God, there's something important coming. Patty has the key. We must know what it is. And then I leave, right? How terrible is that? Anyway, I will record the training and I will put it out, and then I will schedule a Q&A session. So that's how we'll handle that. Mercury retrograde, you will not win. You will not win. That's what I have to say. The other thing I want to share is that I do have a new program. I'm going to tell you about it at the end. It's something I haven't done since 2019. It's a mentorship program. I have not run a mentorship program in 6 years. And there are only 20 spots. So at the end of this, I will tell you more about it. But if we end up, because I do think it's going to sell out quick, if we do end up getting cut off, what I will do is when I send the training out, I will also send the direct link to sign up for the program and the details. With that, let's jump in. Good thing I have slides. I do have slides. I told this to those who were here early. I'm going to try and stay off of them because I prefer to talk to you this way. But if I feel like I'm getting distracted by my Zoom disappearing, I may rely on. Also, if you have questions, we are going to have open Q&A at the end. Just you can drop them in the chat. You just may have to bump them up so I can find them when we get to Q&A. All right, so here's the one high-level message I want you to understand about this work. People are attracted when they hear 3-step system, 3 phases, right? We like to know where we are, and we like to know what we have to do step after step to get to where we want to go. And that's reasonable, and that's our mind. And I am going to walk you through the steps, but these are primarily energetic steps. I'm going to show you ways that you can help work with the energy. But these are energetic steps because here is the big thing about 2026 and forward. It is going to be a time of mystery. And when I hear that, I hear magic. I know mystery can feel uncomfortable sometimes, but just know that this is going to be a much more magical time. And remember, mystery and magic brings with it the unknown. And so you want to do what you can to let go of the need to always know and work more with knowing, which is that inner energy, right? And that inner commitment to your relationship with your soul and with spirit. And I have a quick story that's going to highlight what I'm talking about. Every morning, I get up and I come downstairs and have my coffee with my husband, and he starts work usually before I do because I spend time meditating and then talking to my spirit team. And by the time I get back up to my bedroom, every single day, my bed is made. And it is a little bit of magic for me. And here is why. It reminds me when I let it, because I don't, sometimes I'll take it for granted, that for the first 12 years of our marriage, my husband did not make the bed. I did. And for the last 12 years, he has made the bed. And that didn't shift because I said, I'd really like you to make the bed. I'd really like you to help out. Because I did that for a lot of the first 12 years. And he might make the bed once in a while, like on my birthday, maybe if it was Christmas, or if I was really angry. He was trying to figure out how to calm me down. He's in the doghouse. And then one day, he made the bed, And he said to me, I cannot believe it took me this long to realize that it was this simple to help you. And he's like, I don't know how I didn't see it. I really don't know how I didn't see it. And that came on the back of me starting to really understand how much I resisted help. This was during a time where my mom had just passed away, and I had watched her resist so much help, so that I suddenly had this mirror of how I worked and how I resisted help. And I started to really understand how important it was. Just going to make sure everyone's muted, to learn how to receive, right? And for those of you who've been in the receiving school, you know I became a prophet of that message. But since that day, a man who was completely blind to the fact that the bed needs to be made for 12 years has suddenly now made it consistently every single day. He might even be rushing out the door at 7 a.m. to catch a flight, and he still stops to make the bed. Now, did something outside of myself change? Did he change? No. My relationship to allowing that in is what changed. And that's a lot of what we're going to be talking about, these phases we're going through and the work that you're meant to do in this phase. That's the kind of shift that is going to help you into the new year. So where are we? We are in a liminal space right now. We are in a liminal space, and liminal spaces feel uncomfortable. We're in from a long standpoint, like looking back, like hundreds, if not thousands of years, we are in a liminal space. We are in a turning point, right? So we're in this global life evolution liminal space. And then on top of it, we are in a 9-year, which is by definition, a liminal space. We are at the end of a 9-year cycle. And if you're not familiar with numerology, it's based on 9 years. And you get that by adding the year. So 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 5 is 9. And we're heading into a 1 year. So we're in this liminal space, this in-between space. And the normal thing for our minds to do is to want to grasp and get to what's next. Being in liminal spaces feels so uncomfortable. Also because clarity just isn't there and we want it so bad. So if you've been doing all the work to get clarity, you've been meditating, you've been walking, you've been cleansing, and you've been doing all the things, right? Not leaning into that, all the things, and clarity isn't coming, just know you're not doing anything wrong. We just need to understand that's the place we are in. All right. Let me look at my notes so I don't lose track. I was off on my tangent about the bed. So a lot of what we can experience in this time is old patterns coming up. So if you felt like you dealt with a relationship and all of a sudden, and like you cut cords and all of that, and then it's back in front of your face. Or this old behavior that you used to have. Maybe you take care of everyone else and you kind of dealt with it. Now, all of a sudden, miraculously, everyone has a crisis. And even though you've learned how to not keep taking care of everyone else, you find that you're taking care of their crises. Just know that resurfacing is part of the first phase of this 3 phases we're going to talk about. And that is the release phase. So the 3 phases are release, then rest, and then rebirth. And when I've seen it, I think what's possible for a lot of people is to be right now in the release phase, and then towards the end of the year to really move into that rest phase, and sometime in January to be ready for that rebirth phase. The window I was shown for where kind of that spark of what comes from rebirth, which is those feelings like imagination is back online and like sparks of inspiration that really are taking root. I was shown around January 5th to the 12th, which is the very beginning of that energy, but certainly it can happen well into the first part of the year. So the phase we're in, the release phase, what is coming up in front of you and what is being shown to you is being shown to you because it's time to let it go. You are not going backwards because this old stuff is showing up. You've actually done so much work with it that it's showing up this one last time so that you can actually let go of it. I'd love for those of you who are on live, tell me if this is landing for you. Tell me if this makes sense, if you guys are seeing it, if you're seeing that old patterns are showing up, or you're seeing this like brain fog and you can't make sense of what's going on. Yeah, so much. Okay, awesome. All right. I love that. I love that. I'm glad we're all on the same page. And I'm curious, when you think about this time, what is it that you feel like you need right now? Like if you could put your finger on what it is that would help you get through this time, what is it? Community. I love that. Yes, leaning into people, right? Leaning into the people. Patience. For those of you who have the Space for Magic deck, if you are pulling a card every day, as I recommend for this time we're in, I would imagine the patience card and the slow down card has come up quite a bit. Am I right? Am I right? All right, I am going to switch over to slides because I want to make sure that I'm looking at the time. I want to make sure we get through everything that we need to get through. And I do not want to risk yammering on. All right, so let's do this. Can everyone see my slides? Okay, good. So 2026, the good news is 2026 is going to be a new beginning. In all things, there is balance. 2026 is a 1 year. So that is bringing with it possibilities for new identity, new birth, new purpose, new expansion. This is the inhale, and what we have just gone through and what we are going through right now is the exhale. So we're going to talk about the 3 steps that will enable you to take advantage of all the wonderful energy waiting for you. And we talked about the phases, the phase of release, rest, and rebirth. And now this is the phase that we're all in, release. It is the doorway to everything that is coming next. It's also a place where many people feel stuck because the journey has been particularly long. You may want it to be over already. I get it, but it's really important to honor the work that needs to happen here. If you don't, you risk staying here much longer than necessary. So I'm going to break down the 3 key steps I mentioned that will help you move through this release phase. They are deep review, emotional and energetic clearing, and forgiveness of self and others. Now, this is going to be the work. So I know your tendency might be to try and take a lot of notes or get this all down. Just remember, the replay is going to be available for you. Try to sit back and take it in, and then you can go back and take in the specific steps. Go back to the replay and listen to the specific steps later. With deep review, it involves taking a big step back and seeing what has happened to you and through your life through witness consciousness. You want to see challenges that maybe are hanging out in your mind, like, oh, I don't know why this happened. This is the place where we have the woulda, coulda, shoulda feelings. And you're going to view them not as punishment, but as lessons, especially for the ones that repeated over and over and over again. And you want to do this 2 ways. You want to do it for the last 9 years, and then you want to zero in and then look at it again for 2025 for a 1 year. With the 9-year review, this one is really special because when you take a step back and you look at the landscape of your life from 2016 to 2025, what you're going to discover is a story arc. And in that story arc, you will start to understand that there is a storyline, and that storyline points to the soul lessons that you received in a way that you can't when you're looking and thinking about just a specific event and not how it fits into the bigger picture. You will see how far you've come and gather insight into what's awaiting you. This to me is so, so exciting because when I did my 9-year review, what I saw, and when I had just thought about doing it, I was thinking, oh, I know what's going to come up. It's going to be, the big theme was the tension between being a mother and being an entrepreneur and a speaker and all the things that came with it. That to me was basically the theme of the last 9 years, is choosing when to be there for my kids who are now both in college. And that's why that was such a significant concept to me, is that because it's over, right? I mean, my kids, I'll always be their mom and they'll always need me, but they're both in college now. So they don't have the day-to-day needs. And there were so many places where all of a sudden something really amazing would be happening with my business. My speaking career took off, or my conferences were filling like magic. And then all of a sudden something would happen with one of my kids, and usually a social emotional need. And then the brakes would be put on and I would put my attention over there. And I never regretted my choices. I've always felt along the way that I was making the right choice. But one thing I suspected, and I didn't even realize I was suspecting it, was that I didn't have the grit that other entrepreneurs had. Now, what you can read in that is I wasn't enough. And this is a storyline that so many of us hold. If you had told me before I did this 9-year review that this was a thing I held in my head, I wouldn't have said it. But as I sat down to do my 9-year review, I thought, this is what's going to show up. Where I could have given more to create more, right? I didn't go into the 9-year review with the same perspective I'm giving you to look for this story. This is what emerged when I did it. And as I took a step back, all of a sudden I realized, oh my God, that was not what was happening. All those tension points where I thought I wasn't enough, it didn't have enough grit, didn't have enough whatever. That wasn't it. It was my ego fighting with my soul. Because it was kids. My soul always won, right? Our souls don't always win when it's about us, right? When it's like choosing what our soul needs versus what society tells us. But when it came down to, was I going to be there for my kids, or was I going to let this ego desire dictate where I went? I chose my kids every single time. And then as I took a step back beyond that and looked across all of that, those challenges, what I saw was that where my marriage is now, which is stronger than it's ever been at 24 years, was strengthened through all of those scenarios. That where I would have said a lot of that I was doing alone, I realized my husband was there, just silently supporting me and giving me the encouragement I needed. And so as I went through that, all of a sudden I realized that wasn't what was happening. What was happening was I was being prepared for this stage we're about to go into, to be a teacher to others, to show them how to stay loyal to their souls. And if I didn't have the constant experience of the conflict between soul and ego that was so present for so many years, I wouldn't have the tools I have that I'm bringing to the table now. And beyond that, I look at my kids, and my daughter's my youngest, so she's at her first year of college, and she just randomly calls me up and tells me how some gift I gave her in my wisdom is helping her, right? And probably a month into into her college experience, she said, "Mom, I gotta tell you, so many people of my friends are struggling right now in college." And that's reasonable, right? Freshman year is so hard, and she's struggling in her own ways. But she was like, I think back, and I don't know why this makes a difference. But I think about who you were for me. And in my mind, I thought she was going to say, like, I showed her, like, sometimes you have to pay attention to, I didn't know where she was going to go. To me, I wasn't always there for her, but I always tried to be there for her when it was most important. Again, I saw myself as limited. And she said, all I think about when I think about you is limitless love, endless, endless love, like a sea of love. And because of that, I don't struggle the same way because it's just there. It's endless. And again, for me to go and do the work I'm about to do, if I had to constantly worry about my kids in college, I wouldn't be able to do it. I'd be 1 foot in and 1 foot out. So even from an ego standpoint, even from a growth of my business standpoint, all the choices I made along the way, even though I wasn't sure I was doing them right and I wasn't sure I was enough, now they make sense, right? And that is why your 9-year review is so important, because you will discover things, beliefs you're holding about yourself that are beyond just being not helpful, are just not true. So that is priority number 1, okay, is your 9-year review. Now, moving back. Okay. From the large 9-year review, then you can see the final year of your 9-year cycle is about. That's where you zero in on the single year, the 1 year. You'll see clearly that the limitations in the ego constraints that have kept you stuck are part of this storyline. And once judged as mistakes or missteps, you'll now see clearly were carefully orchestrated divine lessons that have prepared you for what comes next. So once you're out of this 9-year and you're doing this 1-year review, so you're just going back and now looking over, the 1 year is less of a story arc and more like a chapter of that story. So where are the tension points? Ask yourself, what patterns repeated this year? If I knew this was happening for me and not to me, what would it? And these are the things you can go back to what I'm doing right now. You could go back to the replay and write these down for yourself. What have I learned? What closed and what opened? So when I was working with my client, Lori, she has the best story about this. So I asked her if it was okay if I share her story on this. We've been working together privately, growing. Her focus was primarily on growing her intuitive gifts. And when we had started working together, she had a trip planned. And she was deciding, do I start our mentorship work before or after I come back from my trip? And logically, it would make sense that we start after. But I kept getting Spirit's message was like, nope, we got to start before. And she agreed. And we started the work and I said, because you're going to be in Europe and you're going to have like all this time. And she was going to be there for weeks. You're going to have all this time. You're going to be able to get downloads in different locations. And then we can talk about it. It's going to be super cool, right? That's not what happened. What happens was the person she was traveling with was constantly keeping her from having any space. And most of her work was having to set boundaries. So as we were reflecting on time, it would be easy to see that that was sort of like a misstep, that somehow there was some mistake in there. Like we should have started after that, or maybe, she should have scheduled the trip differently or had more time to herself. That would have been like a logical way to see it. But actually, when we took the step back and looked at the bigger picture, we could see that one of the things that she most needed to learn, even though she had been learning it year over year and doing a really good job of it, was to understand where she kept her boundaries loose that needed to be tight. And that boundaries, even when her boundaries were being crossed, it wasn't that her intuition wasn't working or she couldn't capture it. Her intuition was actually working stronger than it had ever worked. And something she didn't understand about how her intuition worked was revealed to her in that circumstance. Because we all think like, oh, to get messages, we want this quiet and we want these peaceful spaces and we want the water fountain and the beautiful smells and the lotus, right? Like it's what we think. That's not how your intuition works, right? That is not how it comes in. It's not how it gets empowered. So this was a beautiful, beautiful way that when we looked at the landscape of this year, what was most important. And now, as she's entering this end of year, that boundary stuff, if it comes up, it's not going to be a big deal because she's going to understand it's all part of the divine design of where she's headed and what is working for her. And the fact that holding strong boundaries and most likely teaching strong boundaries are going to be a big part of where she's headed. All right. So that's Lori's story. So if you were going to take only one thing from this training, let this be it, to honor your path with a deep review. I'm going to go through 2 more steps, but I'm telling you, I have learned through all of my speaking and all of my years that most people, and this is a psychological thing, most people will only retain 10% of what you tell them, right? I want to own the 10% I want you to take away. This is it, the deep review. So please, without review, you drag old patterns with you. And with this review, you become free to move forward into what comes next, which is clearing. Once you see your life from this higher perspective, a deep review provides you with, once you see your life from the higher perspective that your deep review provides you, you can move into the next step. In this step, you allow what is done to fall away. You stop grasping because now you understand what has happened from the perspective of love rather than fear. Clearing looks like acknowledging old stories, releasing the pressure to be someone you were never meant to be. In my story, I was never meant to be Uber mom and Uber bro marketer entrepreneur. I wasn't meant to be, working around the clock. That identity that had been lingering, that was not meant to be mine. And the thing is, I didn't do anything to let it go other than to have gone through this review and then all of a sudden acknowledged it. And it left me, right? So I want you to understand this doesn't have to be like, how can I say it? When you move through these steps, a lot of this stuff, if you will just stay with it and stay with the discomfort and let it show you what it's teaching you, it will move itself. Letting go of responsibilities that were never yours to carry and releasing guilt, shame, and self-judgment. This is where I often hear clients, when clients get to this place in their work, that they'll say, I had no idea how heavy that was until I let it go. And I just want to assure you, if you will commit to these steps, all of a sudden you will feel a lot lighter. And then finally, forgiveness. Forgiveness is the final step that frees the energy so you can move forward. Forgiveness happens both towards yourself and towards others. And I've done a lot of work on forgiveness, and I will say a lot of the work this year was self-forgiveness. It was self-forgiveness. You do it because you should do it. You do not do it because you should do it. You do it because now you understand you deserve to be free. Now, if you've been holding on to unforgiveness, especially towards someone else, because you feel like it's going to let them off the hook, I want to encourage you before the end of the year, just please do the work. Do the work to forgive. Forgiveness is not one size fits all, and it is a deeply personal journey. My experience is that a lot of it happens organically as a result of the deep review and the clearing. But I want to remind you to ask for help. As you move through it, ask your spirit team, ask God, ask Source, help me forgive. Or the one that I say a lot is free me from unforgiveness. Free me from unforgiveness. For some reason, those words work just really well for me. Forgiveness releases self-blame, grudge, and old identities you've outgrown. It returns your energy back to you, so you're no longer dragging the past into the future. There is a trap, however. When you do all these steps and you're feeling lighter and you're at this place and you've gone through the release phase, almost everyone wants to know what's next. I feel it. I've done the work. What's next? How do I get to what's next? And this is what can cause people to slow down their own transformation and cause it to take longer than it needs to be. They push, they force, they try to plan the next adventure. Where are my planners? Where are my control freaks, right? Raising my hand. And that's not going to be you. That's not going to be you because you are here and I'm showing you the trap so you know what to do instead. The next step is essential. And weirdly, it is the thing that most people tell me they want more than anything else in the world. And yet they resist it. And before I go to the next slide, what does anyone think that it is? Does anyone have any guesses as to what this thing is that most people want more than anything else in the world? A lot of people say they want a direct line to God too. It's not that one. Yes. Oh my goodness. All these brilliant people. Yes, yes, yes. They want rest. Exactly. All right. Back to the presentation. Rest. And it was actually, for those of you who were part of this world for a while, the tapping therapist I work with, Victoria, is someone I've talked about many, many times. And it was Victoria that really helped me understand this, that she would, we would have periods of time and she's like, okay, we're done for a little while. And I'm like, no, let's move on. We cleared something. Let's move on to the next thing. And she was like, sometimes you're just meant to not be working on yourself, Patty. And that was really a hard thing for me to get. And that's what this rest phase is about. Rest is where everything you cleared settles. It's where your nervous system recalibrates. It's where your intuition grows. It's where clarity rises on its own without force. This doesn't mean you need to be lying in bed physically resting or, this isn't about like the activity level you do. This is about just not working on yourself and really honoring the slow pace that you're being guided to follow. Giving yourself quiet when you need it and honoring the truth that as much as your mind is leaning towards what's next, your soul is saying not yet. And you trust that message of not yet. And you flow with what comes. When you do that, and again, I do want to say these phases, although they mostly kind of move one into the other, you might go back and forth a little bit. You might be in the rest and then all of a sudden an old pattern surfaces and you're like, wait, I thought I was done with that. But you just have a little more clearing, right? Just like the phases of grief sometimes roll back on themselves. They might roll back and forth a little bit, but generally speaking, if you give yourself the rest, what will come soon enough is rebirth. If you trust the rhythm of the rest phase, what you'll realize very soon is you'll feel inspired actions start to rise, sparks of excitement will bubble up, new ideas begin to land softly. When that happens, you will know that you've reached rebirth. Yeah, what we all want, right? You'll have a sense that you are you, but different. A feeling of possibility is your new normal. Clarity returns. And from this place, you will only have to do one thing. Follow inspired action without force, with love. And remember, rebirth doesn't usually start with fireworks. It doesn't start with big, sparky energy. It begins with a whisper. This feels right. This feels new. Follow those whispers, and your 2026 awaits. As you move into 2026, this rebirth energy will grow. This is where your next chapter begins. And if you follow the steps we've covered today, you'll be prepared to ride the wave of rebirth energy when it arrives. So I'm going to recap quickly, but I do want to remind you can come back to the replay and go back and take notes on whatever you wanted to get really written down that maybe moved you or inspired you or hit you and said, yes, that's what I need to work on. And I forgot to mention at the beginning, when I was coming into the training, I pulled 2 cards. The first card flew out and it was signs. And I was like, oh, interesting. I usually pull a card before I do a training and just say, what do I need to know? And when I got the signs card, I was like, oh, fun. Maybe I'll get signs. And then they were like, no, tell people that some of them have been waiting for a sign. And it's possible you saw someone write something in the comments or you heard something here and it gave you a sign that you were looking for. And Spirit just wants you to know that you are loved. Whatever that sign was that you needed, you are loved. And just in case you're curious, the second card I got, which was for me, was angels. And the angels were like, just know we're helping you. We're here with you. Just show up. So for those of you who are looking, who think you may have gotten a sign during this training, just please honor it as being your truth. So to recap, we've got the release phase, we've got the rest phase, and we've got the rebirth phase, right? Those are the 3 phases. And inside of that, the 3 steps for you to focus on are in the release phase, deep review with that 9-year and 1-year review, which will lead you to the clearing and then to the forgiveness. This time we are in is precious. It is sacred. Despite the discomfort, honor the phases as they appear, and you will be rewarded when you reach the new energy awaiting you in 2026. So it is possible you'd like my guidance and mentorship as you move through this precious time. I mentioned to you that I am opening up a mentorship program. There's only going to be 20 slots. And I'm just going to spend a little time going over the mentorship program so you can decide if you want to be a part of it. And then we will move into Q&A. Now, I did plan to keep this as an hour, but I know we're close to that hour. So I'm going to go through this program review quickly and just know I will stay on with anyone that has any questions. But if you need to drop off, feel free to email us, support@pattylennon.com with any questions that you have, and I will do my best to get back with you. I will get back with you, but I'll do my best to get back with you quickly. Okay. So if that's the case and you'd love to join me for this new program, it is called 6 Weeks to Shift. It is a small group mentorship program designed to support you through this exact transition we just talked about today. We will work through 3 phases matched to the phases we just discussed. We'll meet weekly for 3 weeks to focus on the release phase. You'll then have a 3-week break where you'll focus on rest, because remember, rest is not working on ourselves. So we will, and this is where the 6 weeks comes from. We're going to have 3 weeks in the release phase, and then we're going to have 3 weeks in the rebirth phase where we will be working together on all that juicy energy waiting for you in 2026. Now, this is going to start December 1st. I'm going to go through a little bit about what will be in each section. In this structured, loving, spiritually grounded container, I will help you move through closing the chapter of 2025 and the rising and stepping into the rising frequency of 2026. We will have weekly trainings, but I want to make this clear. This is not a course. This is a mentorship program. The trainings will be guideposts. They will help you move through the work that you're meant to do. But the bigger part of the program is the mentorship. This is me working with you and helping you in your specific, unique circumstances to move through this very personal experience. It's why I'm keeping it so small. You will get, while we do the release phase, you will get my personal 9-year review process so that you have a structured, straightforward way to identify the patterns, lessons, and breakthroughs you've experienced. Each week's trainings will be designed so that you never have to guess at what's happening in your energy, and you'll always know what to focus on and why it matters. This is really for you if you have felt like you get this, but you know yourself and you know you do a lot better if you have someone helping you with the inner work, and you would enjoy community through this journey. You will hear what your soul most wants you to understand about your path and receive my guidance on interpreting those messages. Uncover limitations that are keeping you stuck so you can finally release them. And if you have felt that this year has been trying to teach you something, but you're still not sure what it is, we will make sense of that together. With this awareness, you will release emotional energetic residue that can keep you from being ready for all the good stuff waiting for you in 2026. Connect the guidance of your spirit team and understand how it's guiding you in this journey. You'll receive my help clearing the heaviness, the confusion, and the old stories keeping you stuck. During the rest and integration phase, like I said, you'll have 3 weeks where we won't be meeting. Your one job is to pause and relax. This will take you through most of the holidays into the start of January. So if you were thinking, I don't have the capacity to be doing this during the holidays, don't worry, that will be your downtime. When you're in the midpoint of a major shift, it's important to have that mental and spiritual downtime. There will be no calls, no homework, no keeping up. But don't think for a minute nothing's happening, because that's your integration window. That's the sacred time to rest, celebrate, be with loved ones, and allow what we've cleared to settle and recalibrate. This is the time where the spiritual upgrade is installing in the background. And then once we come back from the holidays, we will move into our rebirth and renewal phase. We will come together for our final 3 weeks, lay the groundwork for your entire year ahead, helping you move into the next chapter with confidence, grounding, and a clear intuitive connection. Discover the seeds of your next chapter so that you're no longer left wondering where you should focus your time and energy in the year ahead. We will work on intuitive development. I will support you so that you strengthen your connection with your spirit team and are able to trust the inner nudges that are guiding you in this new year. It's not just this new year. This is the new way. This is being in the mystery. This is being in the magic. You'll receive my personal help navigating inspired action and ensuring you don't push when you're meant to flow. You'll start to, and that's especially for my control freaks out there, raising my hand. You'll start 2026 with alignment, confidence, peace, and purpose. I saw some of those hands go up. I can only see a few of you. So that you have the year you have been reaching for. So if this sounds like the support you love, you're probably wondering about the price. And I'm just going to lay it out for you so it can be so you can keep it in perspective. This last time I did this in 2019, a mentorship group like this sold for $4,000 and it filled up quickly. We are not in that time. And we are in a very different energy. And I know that this guidance is particularly important at this time. And I wanted to make sure that it was affordable as I could make a small mentorship program. I don't take for granted that the amount of money does matter. And but I did want you to understand, I thought carefully about what would make it feel like a balanced energy exchange. So 6 weeks to shift is $1,297. But if you join before Sunday, it is $897. So that's a 30% savings. So you can join anytime from today until Sunday, and you will get that 30% off, assuming it doesn't sell out sooner. And I have made payment plans available at checkout. So if you know that this is for you, you can go to pattylennon.com/6WS. And once I'm done with this, I'll drop that link in the chat as well. But if someone has it handy and they can drop it in, that would be great. Space is limited to 20 clients so that you do receive my personal attention. I am committed to being with all of you in a very specific and dedicated way. And to make sure that you have the best experience possible, I have also added a bonus, which is that you will receive a private session with me if you join now before Sunday. During this private session, you will get my personal intuitive messages. You'll get direct guidance for your current transition. You'll get support in whatever is rising in your energy. And then you'll get that extra warmth and clarity that comes when my energy is focused exclusively on you in a call. So you'll have that time with me. So go to pattylennon.com/6WS and choose the payment option that works for you. Once you do, you will immediately receive two things: a confirmation email. It's one thing, confirmation email, which will have your scheduling link to book your private session with me. You can schedule your private session then at a time that works for you, or you can wait. But if you know that you want one sooner than later, I would do that as soon as the confirmation email comes. Your first training will be delivered on December 1st, and our first mentorship call will happen on December 4th at 2 p.m. Eastern. All mentorship calls will happen on Thursdays at 2 p.m. Eastern. They will be recorded. You will be able to ask me questions throughout the week that I will respond to. You don't have to be on the mentorship calls for that to happen. Questions can be supported at any time. Refund policy. If you join today and decide this is not for you, that's not a problem. Simply email our team, support@pattylennon.com by November 23rd, and you will receive a refund, no questions asked. I will be cutting it off on November 23rd, though, or when we're full, because once we're full, I will not have the opportunity to fill that spot. Because of the small number of spots, I want to make sure you grab yours before they sell out. And so please grab it if you know it's for you. If you want a crystal clear understanding of what the last 9 years have been preparing you for, if you want to be free of that energetic gunk that is keeping you stuck, and feel confident in your intuition and get a roadmap for your next chapter with my help. You can do this work. This is just if you'd like to receive my help as you go, grab your spot, pattylennon.com/6WS. And when you join by tomorrow at midnight, I have one more bonus for you, but this one goes away tomorrow. And that is you will get a ticket to Forecast Your Future, which has not gone on sale yet. This is my most sought after event, and this is a limited time bonus during Forecast Your Future, which is going to take place over December 27th through the 30th. So that's during that rest period. You're going to learn how to pull a 12-card spread that reveals your landscape for 2026. You'll receive month-by-month guidance so you can identify your power months, your rest months, and your growth months. You will get my help channeling messages direct from your spirit team. And you will also get my private insights into the predictions I receive for 2026. So I will be putting my predictions out on YouTube, but in Forecast Your Future, I will also be sharing with you the things I think the predictions are going to lead to. So again, this is happening December 27th to the 30th. When tickets go on sale, they will be $147, but you will get that if you register by tomorrow. And I have one very fun bonus. This is something that just popped into my heart and I really wanted to do it, but I didn't want to open it up to everyone. So I've never done this before. I am going to have a private Black Friday trunk show. This is something brand new I've cooked up. I don't even have all of the details yet. I have some of them in my mind. It's going to be magical. It's going to be entertaining. It's going to happen all next week. This is invite only. And the only way you can get an invite right now is by joining the program. I'm going to have special offerings. I'm going to have surprises. I am going to have my favorite tools at very deep discounts, and I'm going to be giving some fun things away. And the only way to be guaranteed an invite right now is by joining 6 Weeks to Shift. I don't know yet. I could say priceless, but I will say only the invitees will fully know the value. So if you're interested, please join pattylennon.com/6WS. And when you join, you'll get one of 20 spots. You'll get the private one-on-one with me. You'll get my invite-only Black Friday trunk show invite. And if you join by tomorrow, you'll get the ticket to Forecast Your Future. The entire package is worth $1,794. If you enroll before Sunday, you'll pay $897. Go to pattylennon.com/6WS, and you can choose to pay in full or choose the payment plan option. Okay. Grab your spot now before we sell out. I cannot wait to start with you. And now we will move into questions. All right. Almost made it on the dot. All right. So for those of you who may have dropped questions into the chat, can you please bump those up just so I can find them? Adeline, I saw your question. When is Forecast Your Future? December 27th to the 30th. But most of it will be, the content that comes out over the weekend will be pre-recorded. The live versions will be happening. Let me just pull up the calendar. On Monday, the 29th and Tuesday, the 30th. I don't have the times I don't have the times in front of me, but those details will go out later. And okay. Just want to grab those links. Here's the direct link to the Google Doc that describes the program. And if you don't want to read the long Google document, here is the link to check out directly. But again, if you go to pattylennon.com, that will redirect you to that Google Doc that describes the program. All right. Nancy said there was a one-to-one upgrade mentioned earlier. So a few people received information about the program earlier. I think, though, I didn't mention it because I believe it's sold out. But if it's still available, once you check out, if you when you choose to join the program, when you check out, you will get to another page that will give you a chance to upgrade to a private experience. And this private experience is going to be very different. This would be if you are feeling like something big is coming for you in 2026, or you have a business and besides doing the life stuff, you want to help with the business stuff, strategy, etc. Maybe you're working on a book or you're working on a project, or you think you are probably going to be in the place of a massive change, like leaving a marriage, starting a marriage, having children, that kind of thing. Things that really are going to require a lot of attention. The upgrade to the private experience is available. There were only 5 spots for that. It may have sold out already. What that's going to include is 2 additional private sessions, access to me privately throughout the program. And then in 2026, we will do a 90-minute deep dive. And in that deep dive, before we meet, I will receive all the cards you pull for yourself during Forecast Your Future. And if you don't take the program, I'll just guide you in pulling your cards. I will meet with your spirit team before we meet. I will get downloads about what's coming for you in 2026. Then we will meet for 90 minutes and go over the landscape of what's coming for you, lay out 2026 so that you better understand when to make plans. Like if you've got a business, when to launch. If you're looking at moving, best times for that kind of thing. If you have to have difficult conversations, what in your particular 2026 landscape, when will that help you best? So again, you have to join 6 weeks to shift. Once you join, you will get to another page that gives you access to that upgrade. And if there's any available spots left on the upgrade, then you'll see that. If you don't see it, that means it's sold out. Does that make sense, Nancy?
Yeah. So it's like an overlay. You're part of the group, but then you get this extra stuff and it's more presumably.
Yeah. And it's,
Okay.
if you really want it like to work with me privately, I think this is the best of both worlds because you get me completely privately. And then you also get to be part of this larger community and feel into some of those lessons that we only get when we watch other people going through something. And Laura says, is the upgrade price on top of the original price? Good question. It is. So the main program right now is $897. The upgrade is $1297. So it's both of those prices combined. It is not one or the other.
Wait, that's confused. Say that again.
So you check out, you pay $897 to get in the program.
Right.
And then you buy the private experience separately for $1297.
An additional $1297.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
got it. Okay, thanks.
Because this is really a private mentorship program. And typically, I don't know what those two numbers add up together. I want to say it's like $2,100, but to work with me privately for a couple of months, it would be closer to $6,000 in this way. So it's still a deep discount. No, I know you're
Preaching to the choir. I was in that last active receiving mastermind group.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Adeline said, I'm a bit worried about the 9-year review. I can barely remember the last year. And then Rita says, I am with you. I had cleared my email, but I did find some clues on Facebook of what started up that year. Well, I think also I'm guessing you're hearing about doing the 9-year review for the first time. I mean, maybe you've heard about it, but like you're only thinking about this right now. Sometimes, if someone said to me, give me 5 words that start with a B, I'd be like, bear, ball. And then also I'd be like, I don't know, right? Like our mind freezes when we think about this. So I want you to step away. First of all, just know if you're in 6 weeks to shift, I'm going to help you with that. But also just let it settle in for a minute. Like let things float up. I didn't sit down and do my own 9-year review in a half an hour and then I was done with it. It's something that you work with, you step away, you come back to it, you step away, you come back. So just give yourself some grace. And the thing is that you don't have to remember details as much as like, what are things that stick out? Because hello, we all went through a pandemic. So you got one marker, and most of us can describe things as pre-pandemic and post-pandemic. So maybe start thinking about what life was like right before the pandemic. What was life like right after the pandemic? Okay, let's see. Okay. I thought these were actions that 2026 is asking for us during the year. Rita, can you just clarify? Because I'm not sure what that question was. Clara says, I have a chapter on rest in my book, and it's the longest chapter. I know. I have not been doing stage work, meaning like doing like big group stage stuff in a while. So I can't say this is true for the last like couple of years because I took a sabbatical from 2022 through most of 23, if I'm getting those years right, or was it 24? But anyway, before 20, but I can tell you, before 2022, I would be on a stage, and I would ask people what they most wanted right now. And they'd say, bags of money, a new job, blah, 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 like they give me a whole bunch of answers. And then I'd guide them in this exercise to come down into themselves and say, no, not globally, not big, like right in this moment, what would you most want? And most people would say a nap, right? And what they really meant was just to be without responsibility, because a nap is more than a nap. A nap is the ability to take a nap, right? The nap is the ability for your mind to slow down enough to allow for that space, right? The nap is the ability to give yourself permission to leave life in the middle of the day, right? For a lot of people, a nap is more scandalous than day drinking, right? Like, or as my daughter would say, darties, day parties, darties, in case you didn't have the.
My question was thinking that 2026 was going to be these 3 phases all through the year.
It can be. It can be if you drag it out. You're in release phase either way, but we are in the release phase. And the things we talked about doing in the release phase, the deep review, the clearing, the forgiveness, that's work for right now. That will prepare you to take advantage of the rebirth energy in 2026. Jan says, great phrase, free me from unforgiveness. I was meant to hear that. Oh, Janet, I love that. So again, that might have been your sign, Janet, right? Like it was just like, help me forgive. And then all of a sudden you hear it, because it's the reason I like free me from unforgiveness rather than help me forgive is help me forgive for me when I'm praying always feels like I'm trying to get to this land, this other island, and I don't know what it looks like. Like, when you're in a place where you're not forgiving either yourself or someone, it's like you can't even imagine what that looks like. So then the place you're in is unforgiveness. So that's in this space right now. And you want to be freed. Like whatever is locking you up here to not forgive is the thing you want gone. And so I always find that to be a prayer that just feels more real to me, if that makes sense. And Ali is saying, what a beautiful relationship between the two of you. Oh, thank you. That was probably from my earlier with the kiddos. Yeah. Yeah. And I will say, my son, he used to fight me on everything. Absolutely every single thing in my life. I mean, he is oppositional as the day is long. And I don't know what it was. Oh, I know what it was. Our local elections. Him and his friends watch the Board of Ed meetings when the parents come up because they think it's hilarious. They were like, Mom, I never knew there were so many crazy people in our town. And I'm like, yep, sure are. And he's like, were they always like this? And I said, they sure were. And I was saying something about, and I said, but what do I know? And he goes, oh no, you know. He said, Mom, you are the smartest person in the entire world. And I was like, oh, that's sweet. What do you need? Do you need money? What is exactly that you need? He goes, no, I'm serious. And he means it. He thinks I'm actually the smartest. This kid who fought me tooth and nail on every single thing I asked him to do now thinks I'm the smartest person in the world. He is wrong again. He used to think I knew nothing. He was wrong then. And smartest person, well, no, but that's good. At least if he's looking to me for his answers, I feel a little bit better than where he might get them otherwise. And Rhonda says, hearing this makes me feel like I have been doing this for the past few years. Yeah. I mean, look, like I said, this is what you go through in any transition. And some of these phases can really be spread out in significant ways, especially if what you need to release is a lifetime or multiple lifetime stuff, right? I'm not suggesting because we're running the mentorship program over the course of, 3-week stages that everyone can nail it in 3 weeks. That's not what this is about, right? This is about journeying. This is about understanding what the energetic blueprint of forgiveness feels like, what the energetic blueprint of clearing feels like. It's when I told the story, some of you weren't there for the story, I think, because it was earlier, but where 12 years ago, my husband started making the bed and has made it every single day, even though for the first years of our marriage, I would just break down in tears sometimes. Why can't you just make the bed? Like it was one of the things that I needed help with around the house. And the reason things shifted wasn't because he's a good and kind man. He will do things, he's not what's that term where like sometimes men are intentionally helpless so that you stop asking them to do things. He's not like that, but he has a hard time seeing things that are not priorities for him. And so when I met him, he did not make his bed. So this was not a thing. It wasn't like he likes the bed made and he was just used to me making it. Making a bed just wasn't a priority for him. So this was about him understanding that just because it wasn't a priority for him, it was one for me, and it was something he could take off my plate. And that was a desire he had inside himself. It was me, the energy inside of me that had to change. And let me tell you something, that didn't happen in 3 weeks. That took years and years and years for me to get to that energetic shift. Okay. Kelly said, so ever since frequency upgrade, I've been excited to learn about the shift program. So when I got the details, being an emotional projector, I am supposed to at least sleep on it or take a few days before making the decision. But I really didn't want to wait. So I pulled a card from the Priestess of Light deck and asked what the energy would be around the program. And the card I pulled was Soul Radiance. Phoenix Rising. Oh, Kelly, I'm so glad you're in. Oh my goodness. And that's so gorgeous, that Phoenix energy. That's what this is, right? And it's so interesting. I was doing a private session with someone a couple months ago, and it's about this Phoenix energy. And I said to him, well, you're going through the Phoenix. There's different stages of the Phoenix rising, right? And so the Phoenix goes down, it goes into ash, and then it rises. And he said, yeah, I know that. What I'm worried about is a false rise. And I thought, that is profound. Like, that has stuck with me. And that is that thing that in the rest, will we give ourselves the patience to follow the soul's not yet and allow for the recalibration, like such wisdom, right? And that just moved me so much. And that you got that, Kelly, when I know what you've been through, right? Like the other thing too, I want to say, and this isn't just to your personal journey, so I hope I'm not you okay if I just share that? I won't share personal, but for those of you who have done the work, like done the work with a capital W, to the point that it should be over. And Kelly, girl, you are one of them, right? If effort was all it took to transform, you'd be done. You would be done. And it's not, right? Sometimes the divine just holds you back just a little bit longer, just a little bit longer. And it is a divine blessing. And it can feel so hard. It can feel so hard. But I promise you, if you are being held in place right now, it is with divine blessing. It is with divine blessing. And there is so much mystery and so much magic that is going to be happening. And I want you to trust that as much as you may be experiencing confusion in why things are the way they are, for whatever confusion you have, that is going to be like they just show this to me. It's like two ends of the same stick. The magic of mystery will then balance it, right? There is balance in all things. For all the lessons in a 9-year, there is that many compensating, like for all that is removed in a 9-year, there is that much given in a 1-year, right? Because in all things in nature, in all things are balanced, right? And then within the 9-year cycle, then there is then, the 2-year has its own gifts and the 3-year and the 4-year and et cetera, et cetera. But it's that 9-year and 1-year. Ooh, those to me are really the seesaw, right? The seesaw that is powerful in any 9-year cycle. But in the one that we're in, man, oh man, so much of what this world has been preparing for has been this point in time. So much of what your life has been about this time right now. Your agreement to incarnate on the planet at this time was because you came with the promise to hold the light. And if you took my frequency training, you already heard me say that. If you haven't taken the frequency training, just email support. It's free. It's a free course on YouTube now, but we had done it live. I think I repeated this a couple of times, but what I was shown by Spirit is that for many people who came to hold the light, they did not understand that that was their purpose. And that will be revealed starting next year. It will all start to make sense. I have the privilege of coming to hold the light and also staying in the metaphysical teaching world, right? So my purpose has been right up against the thing I do to make a living, which makes it easier. But not all of you do that. Not all of you are here to do that. Some of you are doing work that has nothing to do with it. And yet your purpose, your dharma, is about holding the light. That is it, right? And so it's felt frustrating at times. It has felt frustrating at times. And as we move into next year, I think you will really start to feel the rewards of the gift that is your life and what you give to the world. All right. Is there any other questions for me? Questions? No, I know we've gone long. Well, I thank all of you for hanging in there. One thing I will say is I'm in the process of going through reviewing the 2025 predictions. I didn't put, there will be a replay for anyone who came late, Kath. Yes, their replay will go out as soon as it processes on Zoom and the team can get it loaded to the replay page. So when I did the predictions for 2025, I wasn't doing stuff on my YouTube channel. I will do them publicly this year. But and then what I'll do in Forecast Your Future is then I'll take the high level predictions and I'll really give interpretations to what I think they're going to mean for us. This is where I go way beyond like what I'm comfortable sharing with the general public. But in 2025, I did it only for the Forecast Your Future people. So I'm going to go back over my predictions and I'll have those out on YouTube in the next couple of weeks. So you can amuse yourself by seeing, what did I say was going to happen? And did it happen? We'll see how Patty does up her scorecard. Okay. All right, all right. Well, thank you so much for being here, everyone. Replay will be out soon. And we are doing this, people. We are doing this together. I love it.